was to the Asia Minor.
Which is no small
Which is
task,
no small
which
thing,
is,
but,
yeah.
but they had the opportunity to go to IEM Katowice, for example, and then they got reverse swept by Order. Like, it was just these little kinds of things that stopped that team from being the best team in the region.
Definitely, and now there's an opportunity, right? Because all of these teams are in flux, and you know, regardless of what we think of the individual power of Chiefs, it's all going to come down to this. Flix hits the shot through the smoke to start off with. Infrequent's going to be on towards the jungle position. He actually hits one, but does get traded out almost immediately there. And a second as well. Textural fall, nearly a third iron coming in with at least a trade, but still tapping away. The trades are going 1 for 1 for 1, and now it's all left into a 1v1 with Moe, CQ, and Crazyface.
Yeah, well, speak of Crazyface, that was a pretty crazy entry into the A bomb site. From a sad story, Crazyface does have a little bit of a health advantage here, but really negligible, and it's going to come down to who can hit the headshot first, I think, in this one. Moe is definitely going to need to, because his weapon is going to fire a little bit slower than Crazyface, but he knows where that T is, and just playing this one quite slowly. Moe, a very, very experienced player in the ANZ region, but his position known. Great shot from Crazyface. And the clutch, the pistol round as well, is going to go the way of Sad Story. Not a great start for Chiefs, but it is just one round.
Now, Crazyface is one of the players that we have seen around the Asian scene. So out of this entire roster of Sad Face, he's pretty much the one that stands out the most, but that's a really interesting start from Sad Story there. Some really nice calls to kind of flood towards jungle. A lot of times we actually see teams flood towards CT and overwhelm that CT area. This time they actually go towards jungle and find the trades. So, you know, you've got to be really happy in that case if you're Crazyface or if you're just Sad Story in general. I mean, that was really well played at the end there from Crazyface. Taps just directly onto Moe CQ's head, so there's not too much you can do there. But Moe, at least, oh my goodness, yeah. The damage is being done, and Iron and Moe CQ come together to shut down the short push. Now only 2 remain. Infrequent going to be holding the line with the P250. Needs to just be careful. He is burning, but the trade does come in, so now 3 versus 2 as they enter onto the site.
Still not too bad here for the Chiefs. Very much a winnable round for them, where otherwise it did look a little tough. His position from Crazyface, important, but he won't be able to do anything with that. Texter shuts him down. Great round from the Chiefs. The Scouts doing a huge amount of work in the early round, and then obviously the Pistols to follow things up. That's much better from Chiefs. And I mean, if I were to give you a prediction, I think I would predict as a comfortable victory for the Chiefs, or somewhere like 16-8, 16-10. That said, I don't know anything really about Sad Story, so maybe I'm a little bit biased in that sense, because we are obviously going to be slight fans of the Chiefs here, being Australian team, and us being Australian casters. But I do feel as though the Chiefs and the Australian region in general is probably going to be a little bit stronger than these guys from Thailand, from Sad Story.
Well, it does seem that way. We've started off in the right fashion. The trade comes straight back in. So Sad Story only being able to pick up that first round, and all in the back of a 1v1. Some work was done very well to start things out. I believe it was from Rainy who managed to make that work, or even, I'm not actually 100% sure how we're going to consistently say that. It does say, I believe it's Dark. I think that's Dark, just playing under a different alias.
It could well be.
We'll
I should have said Taiwan, by the way, not Thailand, for Sad Story. But like, when you look at the two scenes in general, like the ANZ scene is actually quite strong. Comparative to a lot of the Asian scenes. Like, if you were to look at Thailand, India, Vietnam, like, these are all rosters that have come through into the Extremesland finals, and a lot of those regions are generally weaker than the ANZ region. That's where I'm basing my prediction here for the Chiefs from.
No, I agree. I think the individual regions all have their individual team, whereas I think Australia, you know, they do have the 4 teams that can kind of compete at any one given event. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it is a different dynamic for the Asian regions, mainly because there are so many compared to Australia, right? Australia's got, well, we've got how many states that we need to pull players from. Now some are weaker than others, but overall, you know, it's a big, there's a lot of area to move with. And at the moment, my goodness, Moe CQ putting in the work with the USP, 2 kills, but it's an easy round here. Sad face. I was just looking at Crazyface, and it's Sad Story. And so too, that will be the tale of the 4th round. They're just going to be cleaned up pretty easily there. Moe just, you know, almost dies, but doesn't really make a difference in the end. They're going to be able to hold on to their guns for the next round.
Yeah, well, obviously, Yeah, you talk about those individual teams from each region. Like in this event, we don't even actually have all of the strongest teams from each respective region. For example, from the Indonesian region, we've got XCN. I would probably put Rekka a little bit above them at the moment, even despite Rekka having had quite a substantial fall-off in the last year or so. But yeah, obviously for Chiefs, I think this is a matchup that they should easily be able to run over, but then things are going to get a little bit more difficult. I think when they end up going up against likes of MVP, Boot, Firepower, Flash, that's where we're really going to get to see whether or not this Chiefs is the real deal or not. They're making it look fairly easy at the moment. Moe's having a good time. Obviously, they lose the pistol, but you can't really draw too many conclusions from that. First gun round, though. We'll see what Sad Story have got from us. Maybe they've got us, or maybe we've completely bamboozled ourselves, and maybe the guys from Sad Story are a very, very good team. We just have to wait and see. It's a good opening. A reasonable trade from Moe, but he himself will get traded quite quickly as well. Bit of a bonus round out here from Chiefs, though. So he did take that scout through, the FAMASA's through there as well for Iron. So I'm not going to be too disappointed if this round doesn't go their way.
Look, I think from this point right now, looking at the way the Sad Face are taking these rounds, they're actually well structured. There's quite a lot of tactical awareness coming through, so at least Flicks will find one. The trade was quick and prompt. Sad Story now look to pinch on towards this A site. Rainy might just be cutting off that short rotator, which he manages to do perfectly. Iron's head will be ripped off. It's all onto Infrequent. 1 versus 3. He's on the site, so he's got all the time to play with here, and I don't know whether they're going to check this. I don't know. Oh, no, they definitely shall. Surely there's going to be one head ripped off. He does hear the footsteps being made. There's too many angles to look at. He does a little bit further damage. Rainy drops down to 31, but unfortunately that's the only story we've got to tell for Infrequent there.
I mean, what else could he really do in a 1v3? There wasn't much hope for him. But the full buy round is going to come out now from Chiefs, so this is where they're going to invest everything that they can. Double Orb is actually going to come out quite quickly as well, and that's not really much of a surprise when you consider the two players on their roster being Moe and Infrequent will be able to Orb quite respectively, I should say, in their time. Both of these two players, I think they've had their moments where you could consider them the best Orber in the region at certain times. Not for a while. That is definitely the case. And so far, neither Orb has actually had an impact, as Sad Story have played very, very quickly into the A bomb site, and that's worked out perfectly. Absolutely sublime.
I mean, Sad Story right now, they're throwing a lot more than what we had expected them to start with, right? We were painting the picture like, yes, it was going to be a Chiefs victory. It was going to be comfortable, to say the very least. But Sad Story are hitting back with a lot of utility and a lot of players that are actually kind of leaving Chiefs exposed and really exposed to that. Like, we're not just talking about, you know, one site kind of falling a little bit with a player dying. We're talking about a whole overhaul where Sad Story are actually managing to get to the site and eliminate the players.
They've taken the double AWP through as well on the T side, so that's a little bit surprising to me. You don't see it too much on the T side, but if they can make it work, who am I to question it? The worrisome thing for me here for Chiefs is that Mirage is actually one of their better maps. And it's one of the maps that gets played quite a bit in the Aussie region. So of all the maps in the pool, this definitely should be a map that they will be comfortable on. So if they can't kind of get that ball rolling on the CT side, we're going to have to start asking you some questions. But look, it is still early days. We've only seen a couple of gun rounds yet. And while they have looked good for Sad Story, for Chiefs, maybe it's just a case of taking a little bit more time to warm up into this matchup. And I think now, based on what we've seen so far, at least we can give a more well-informed opinion that this does actually look like it's going to be a close match, regardless of the way that it does end up going.
Yeah, the Sad Story don't have the credibility, right, coming into this. We're kind of looking at them saying, we don't know a lot about you. We know that Crazy Face has been on a previous Asian roster who, you know, broke through with the Asian scene. But apart from that, it's been relatively quiet across the board. When we're looking at this, like just this matchup purely, everything is actually starting to come together for Sad Story. So every team that's here, you know, they deserve to be here. We can't take that away. No matter who they are, no matter what region they're from, everyone deserves their shot. So you don't really want to give them too much, and this is what they're doing to Texter. They're giving him so much room to breathe. Takes the isolated 1v1s as they push on through towards Connector. Now they're going to continue to push this A site, but they're not going to be able to. They're locking it down here, still going back for more. Texter's hunting. And that is going to be Iron coming from behind. The AWP is all that remains, and that is a very sloppy round coming in from Sad Face.
I don't know how you can make a gun round look so good and then make an anti-eco look so bad. You give Texter the opportunity there with the Desert Eagle. We know how strong he can be. the individual firepower, the individual brilliance opens that round up for the Chiefs, and then some nice utility usage. I think he might have picked up a Molotov off the player that he killed, chucks that into pallets. That forces the next player out into a less than favorable scenario, taking that aim battle with a player in CT spawn. But even if the player in the CT spawn didn't get the frag, there was a guy in the firebox, there was a player wrapping around the back, and it's just looking so good for Chiefs when they have bad weapons. Yep. When they have the guns, maybe a little different. But they've got the double AWP out again. Let's see how they can make it work this time. Yeah,
and definitely, like you were touching on, both of these players, you know, they are both very, very, well, very, very is not the right word. They're well structured and they're well versed rather on the orbs. So both of these players can do a lot of damage. Not just that, if Iron needs to pick it up, he can. You know, if they drop the AWP, there's still that chance for that third player to pick it up. Yep. So the double AWP setup, I think, is something that Chiefs are going to be able to pull out of their, pull out from underneath their sleeves in almost every match that they come up against. However, they do not want to let it kind of punish them too much, and that's what we've seen so far. The double AWP setup was very... It was ineffective, I think is the best way to put it, in that previous gun round. And now they have been able to spot out that player in towards connector. They're going to continue to push on out. It's going to be Sayoko who now pushes in, and Rainey finds a very nice trade. It's Infrequent and has to try and hold, but the aggression towards A main gives him so much control.
Yeah, Infrequent here is in a pretty precarious position, needs to hit the shot, and he does. That's going to keep himself alive, backed up by Moe and Flix, who both find a kill as the players enter the A bomb site. That looks much better for the Chiefs. 4 guns through, both the double AWPs. Well, both the double AWPs, the double AWP, both of the AWPs having an impact in that round as well. And that's a little bit more what we expect to see. I think for Sad Story, maybe that quick aggression out in the last gun round did catch the Chiefs off guard a little bit, but now that the round has slowed down, they play it out a little bit better, that's where we might start to see the experience of the Chiefs come through a little bit more, and I think that was quite evidenced by how they held that one. Tactical pause early on in the piece here from the Chiefs, which is interesting. Don't know what they have to talk about, but someone must have noticed something. Things are going pretty okay for the Chiefs, though, so not necessary rather for them to actually call attack pause just yet, I don't think. No, still doesn't hurt. You've got 4.
No, exactly, and I think that's actually something that's overlooked in the AU region quite a lot. Is the use of tactical pauses, not only as a way to talk to your teammates, but as a way to reset the other team. So it's used in North America quite a bit. When someone actually makes a strong play, when there's a clutch and it really shouldn't go their way, generally they'll pull out a quick pause and just say, let that sit. You know, let that sink in for a second, and let's see how you feel after we come back. Because again, a lot of CSGO is momentum.
Yep. For sure. I think it works both ways, though, because it can also sort of lower your own momentum down. So there's a lot to think about when it comes to those tactical pauses. Not sure that was necessarily the case there for Chiefs. I think they actually did just want to talk about something, but who knows what it is. Still, seems to have gone quite nicely. Iron picking up a couple there as the players run up through connector. And a very, very easy round in the end for Chiefs. That's a much better anti-eco than what we've seen from Sad Story so far.
That's my favourite round right there. I've named that the janitor round, and it's just players mopping up, just cleaning up, especially when they all come into the one area and it starts off with a grenade kill. Like, how do you then progress from there? Like, not only have you lost the player to a grenade, but you've also taken the damage. It's slowed you down. It's not going to work. So that's okay. They do reset here. They do have a lot of utility to work with, Sad Story, and from the rounds that we've already seen, the utility usage is actually pretty decent, and it allows them to kind of progress towards sites or in towards middle and get a little bit more aggressive, find themselves a pick. However, it's what happens after that that doesn't really favour them like that. Infrequent will find a kill with nothing used from Crazy Face, rather. And Sad Story are now the man down.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Infrequent in another top team. Like, he's been on some reasonable teams, but never been in a top 4 team since that Atletico roster that he really broke out into. That's really nice work from Flix as well while I'm just yabbering on. But yeah, I want to talk about Infrequent a little bit because, like, to me, this guy is a bit of a conundrum. Like, he was, in his prime, one of the most exciting offers I've ever watched. But as soon as he kind of fell off really hard and never really seemed to kind of get the same peaks again. And I want to see how he's going to go again here with a better team around him. Not to say that his other teams were bad, but quite clearly this is the best team that he's been in quite a while. And so I'm quite interested to see how that is going to play out for him. I really want to see him succeed to the level that he used to, because it was always fun to watch. Sad Story going to be calling a tactical pause here as well. So now, I mean, this one makes sense, right? Because you're down 7-3 on your T side, It's not going too well. You've won a couple of good gun rounds, but Chiefs are well and truly in control of this matchup. And it's not the end of the world. You've still got 4 or 5 rounds left in this half. But you definitely don't want to let it slip away.
Yeah, when it starts to spiral, that's when it starts to get a little bit scary for the T side.
Well, if this goes up to 9-3 or something, then you start to get a little bit worried, because then that'll be another reset, so it'll probably be 10-3.
And it's only 2 rounds away, right? Like, you're realistic. It's only 1 round away, realistically, because this should definitely be a mop-up round for the Chiefs here, where they're just looking to go for the paw out of Palace, but Flix is going to go aggressive and try and shut it down. He will be punished for doing so as well, and now Frequent's been called out. He's going to have to do some work. Can't manage to do so. Sayoko has managed to shut that down single-handedly, but here comes the savior, Texter, finding 1, but how has Crazy Face hit that shot? Deletes Texter from the server. Moe CQ in the meantime responds, but this does not look favourable for the Chiefs at all.
No, Chiefs just a little unfortunate on the timing there that Flix gets caught off, and that really leaves Infrequent kind of high and dry. He's not in a good spot there at all. Moe will bring one back, Iron another, and now this retake looks much more doable. Iron will flush him out of position. Moe will finish him off. That's the Chiefs going to take their 8th round. Sad story. A good chance, but not able to convert it. But a lot of damage done to the CT economy. Not that it matters too much when you've got the amount that Chiefs have got right now. All that said, though, it shows that Chiefs at least able to sort of bring back those rounds, which is good to see. That one really should have gone the way of Sad Story, but in the end, it was the way of Chiefs, and maybe it is going to be a bit of a tell into what we're going to see in the future.
It's a bit of a concern. You know, like, I thought for a second, I'm like, oh no, here we go. This is going to be the turn. This is what you were talking about. Sad Story needed something, and by goodness are they getting it. However, it doesn't work, and that Molotov has forced the initial player out from the angle. No. He's missed the shot, and Moe CQ can't punish it either. That got really hairy for a second. The grenade will slow them down as they push on in, but this is going to be a 4-person push. Moe CQ hits the first, does get traded out instantly. Still 1 player standing behind the pillar. It's Texter who manages to shut one coming down.
Yeah, bomb drop there as well. Texter will get traded eventually, but that's bought enough time for the rotators to come across. Chiefs very lucky that Moe survives early in the round there, and Iron stepping up now. He's going to shut down 2 before he does drop in the end. Infrequent will close it out. There's that 9th up for the Chiefs. Probably, well, no, actually it should be a buy through here for Sad Story.
Now, I just want to touch on something very quickly. You see across the board on Chiefs' scoreboard right now, it's all very similar.
Yep.
Every player, we're just touching on this, every player on the Chiefs roster right now is individually a very good player.
Yep.
And this is what's showing right now. In this matchup, every single player that you are looking at on the Chiefs roster have had a round where they've needed to go big, and they have. We saw Texter with the Deagle, we saw Flix up close with the AK, and Frequent with the AWP only rounds ago. You know, like, Iron just then, things are just starting to snowball here for Chiefs. And this is where Sad Story, the game does kind of go off the cliff unless they can start to claw things back, and Flix with that. This is something that Flix does so well. He gets so aggressive to A main, and more often than not, he will find himself at the very least the opening. It does get a little bit dangerous, however. If someone's there to trade, it doesn't really favour you in any way. The information that you get isn't even worth it. But at this point, with the way he's being allowed to do this, Sad Story are just being walked all over at this point with these pushes.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is looking fantastic right now from Chiefs. Again, Iron able to aggress, and he'll find himself another kill. It's just looking like a 10th up for the Chiefs. And the way that the money is looking at the moment for Sad Story could be problematic in the next. They are going to have quite a losers around bonus, but without the bomb down, I'm not sure that it'll be enough. Any damage done here by Rainy and Mirage, though. But Texter comfortably sitting himself in CT, spawn Infrequent with another. Well, I guess the money is good enough to get another buy through here for Sad Story, but it's just that same old story where it is a Sad Story right now. You get an AK, you get some armor, but you don't really have the utility to back it up that you really need.
I'm gonna lie, I was just waiting for that. I was just waiting for the Sad Story to come out from one of us. It was inevitable. It was going to come eventually, and you've used it at the perfect time. They're down, you know, 7 rounds now, and they're staring down the barrel at that 12-3 half. They've only got a half buy. When you look at it with the economy and the utility that they're taking into this, the second they pour on towards a site, they don't have a lot more to work with, and this is going to be the concern. It's not so much getting to the site, it's holding the site once you get that bomb down. Only 2 smokes remain with the Molotov that's already been thrown out, and that's going to force Texter back, however, with that initial shot. They're going to push on through, still holding the line. Texter goes aggressive again, lines 2 up and just shuts down the push. Texter has done it time and time again here. And Infrequent comes in for cleanup duties. And Texter walks away with a 4K, and this man is pulling out so many multi-frag rounds right now.
Yeah, great stuff from Texter. And again, Chiefs are going to be bearing the fruits of their labor, up 11-3. And I sort of did a backflip on my initial prediction by saying after the first couple of gun rounds, sad story, they're going to make this one close. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case at all. Chiefs, they just needed those few rounds. They needed that one in. Now they've got it, and now they are absolutely dominating. Sad story. This doesn't even look close at the moment.
Which is, it's absurd to think, right? We were looking at this literally 7 rounds ago, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a close one. Like, Sad Story are going to come in with the big plays. However, I feel as though maybe we counted our eggs before they... Counted our chickens before they hatched, rather.
Yeah, most definitely.
And so, yeah, they're being punished for this. But at the very least, they do find Moe in towards B apps. Now Iron's going to have to try and hold, but the Molotov's still burning. They decide to go out. The trade's 1-for-1 at the moment. Texter, however, he's not looking to keep it at 1-for-1. He is looking to get the man advantage. Rips off the head of Crazy Face. The only man remaining. No HP left. Infrequent makes short work of it. And Chiefs are punching through this team right now.
Easy done from the guys on the CT side. The Chiefs obviously being led from the front there by Texter. And Flix, well, he didn't have much to do. He was sitting on the B-bomb site most of the game there. Well, I think it was the A-bomb site, but it doesn't matter. Really, he never really found himself in the matchup all that much. Like, you can look across the board, like, each player, like, the most deaths there is 8 from Flix. And there was 15 rounds in that half. So it was quite easy for the Chiefs, even despite the fact that some of them weren't fragging toward the end. It's not like it was necessarily an anchor performance or anything like that. It was just that they weren't involved in the kills. And that's what it was. It was like, it was kind of like, it felt like a race from the Chiefs as to who can get the kills first. And if you don't get the kills, well, bad luck, your score's going to look bad. But realistically speaking for the Chiefs, they're going to win that matchup. They're going to win this matchup very, very easily, by the looks of things.
I really do like the way that Texter's able to play on A. They do play around Texter on that A hold a lot. And as much as he's not the anchor per se, you wouldn't say that he's like, you know, they just rotate and leave him there, because most times Infrequent's always on his shoulder. But what they do is they allow everyone else to take the attention away from Texter, in which he finds the perfect timing 4 times out of 5, and will find more than 2 frags. You know, that's what we're looking at from Texter. And this is where... oh, come on. Come on, Texter. None of that. Oh, a bit of cheek. So, is this a tech pause?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah.
I think Texter was trying to give someone in the Chiefs camp a little bit of lip, and it actually came out in all chat. And Sad Story's sitting there going, "What?" But yeah, it looks like someone has disconnected for the Chiefs. Would be Infrequent. Oh, what's going on here?
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow.
It looks like an interview with the Chiefs. That's Moe in the middle. Anyone that doesn't know, we'll go left to right. Texter, Flix, Moe, Infrequent, Iron.
Good-looking blokes they are. Good-looking roosters. And this is... I'm really liking this right now. It's Moe CQ. He's... so for those of you who don't know, Moe CQ is actually the IGL for Chiefs. And this is something that, you know, we expected, and especially the kind of talent that he can bring to the roster. He does have that experience, like the deep experience of being on so many different rosters and leading them as well. So coming into this, you know, it is kind of like, well, this is what we need to see from Moe, which is a bit of a step up, kind of saying, you know, taking the reins, taking the bulls by the horn, and just, you know, kind of leading the team with the charge. But
yeah. We're not so sure exactly what is going on right now, guys. There is a bit of a delay or a pause or something. Someone's computer obviously has done something bad in the Chiefs camp. We had a 4v5 for a moment there. But in the end, we're just going to have to wait. We're going to have to chat. So we've been talking quite a bit about Chiefs. This Sad Story roster, I don't think that there's too much to say about them at the moment. They're not really showing us much, apart from that very quick aggression early on in that T-half, where they kind of overwhelmed the Chiefs. They seemed to catch them off guard. The timing wasn't great there for the Chiefs. We haven't really seen much past that. So from what we've seen so far from, I think, both from D13 and from Sad Story, leads me to believe that they are going to be quite low down in the standings for this tournament. Again, that was to be expected. They're the teams that came through that we didn't really know too much about. They've been kind of stomped by some of the favoured teams in this entire competition. Not that I would say Chiefs are a favourite, but they are definitely a team that will at least get into the later stages of this tournament and make it competitive.
Yeah, no, I mean, their goals, I would, you know, you would have to say that Chiefs' goal would at least be top 3, top 4 in
top
this.
4, for sure.
Yeah, there's no way that they can kind of accept anything less. And with this roster, there is so much that's kind of left to the imagination as to what they can achieve, what they can do as this kind of roster that's come together. It does look like it has been a downgrade, but you know, that is still yet to be seen. You can't, no matter what we think, no matter what we've seen, you can't say that it is or it's not. The only thing that is for sure is right now they are proving that they are a strong side and that they are well gelled already. You know, like this is a team that has only been together realistically for
like a month, maybe.
Yeah, not even a month. Like, and that's ridiculous to think that, you know, like, all right, we're going off 15 rounds right now to say
That's
this,
true.
so it's kind of hard to see.
And against a team that's a bit more of an unknown.
I mean, that's the other aspect of this right now, is we're kind of looking at this going, Chiefs, yeah, you're looking red hot. You're like, we could definitely see you at the top 4. But like you're saying, the second they come up against the MVP, you know, the kind of boot, what will they be able to throw at them that will be, you know, enough to take? Because those teams now I can't say that word, but both teams are well and truly, you know, kind of I would say they're the front runners in this, would be MVP and boot.
Yep.
You could say to an extent, 5-power. You know, there's a couple of outlier teams like
5-power or Flash as well.
Flash, yeah.
The thing about the Asian Counter-Strike region at the moment is it seems like a bit of a weird time. Like even having watched MVP pretty recently, I think they've actually looked a little bit shaky as well. I feel like the door's kind of open for a lot of teams if they really peak at this point. Like if Chiefs have their lights out performance, they have their best games, they could actually win this tournament, I think. Because MVP have looked a little weak, especially Boot as well, have looked very, very susceptible, vulnerable of late. So I think it really is open to a lot of teams, but obviously we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be a bit of a journey as to who's going to come away with the victory here at Extremesland. And, well, in this matchup, maybe not so much of a journey. It's more about the destination, I think, for the Chiefs, as they're not too keen on taking the scenic route. They're going to be pretty quickly cleaning up the pistol round here as well. 13-3 now for the ANZ squad.
I mean, they were just hunting for the kills there, right? And
we can say Australian squad now, because they're all from Australia.
Oh, they are too.
That's always easy.
That's good life. Easy. Fun life. Thank you. No, but so that round right there, the pistol round, is pretty much what we were what I was mentioning at the start of this map, where Sad Story actually kind of threw the same smoke. I mean, it blocked off connector, and instead of going to CT, they poured into jungle. And they found the 1-for-1s, and eventually they got the bomb down. But that round there from Chiefs, where they just pile on through CT, there's no aggression met from Sad Story. So it's kind of just like, how do we retake this site right now? And it just doesn't look good. You've got 3 players in CT just fighting with brute force with Glocks at that range. No, it's not. There's no way you can put it that you're like, that sounds good. But
yeah, definitely not. And the same can be really said for this round, even though that's a 1-for-1 trade. The Chiefs have got the guns in their hands. They've got a lot of low HP players against them now. Should be pretty straightforward. Iron even manages to get the reload off there against Crazy Face. So things just not working the way they need to be right now for Sad Story if they were going to challenge this matchup against the Chiefs.
No, I mean, like, the fact of the matter is they might be able to find a couple of frags. They might even be able to find a couple of rounds, but at the end of the day, it is going to make life incredibly difficult, especially not picking up that pistol round. They only have the 3 to 4 round buffer, and they're already, I mean, it's already lost with that pistol round going the way of Chiefs, and it's just, this is going to be the exact same story that we were reading for 5-power.
Yeah, literally could be a 16-3. Yep.
And I mean, there's no dancing around it. We can't sit here and say that, you know,
you can't say it's Sad Story challenge. You can't say that they impressed. You can't say that there was much in this matchup for them. I think there was maybe like 1 or 2 rounds that had looked pretty good from Sad Story. And a couple of close ones, but realistically, this has been Chiefs just kind of walking all over them. Over a weaker opponent, sure. But it does give you a bit of hope further on down the track here for the Chiefs. So interesting to see how they do end up going. Nice shot from Crazy Face, I should say. Too many crazy aims in the Asian region. But yeah, I think Crazy Face has probably been the standout for me from Sad Story. Not that there is much to kind of stand out, but he's been hitting a few good shots. But I just don't think that there's enough right now for this Sad Story lineup to really make too much of an impact.
No, and we did touch on that at the very start of the map, saying that Crazy Face was going to be one of those players that to look at. He was going to be probably the standout player. And it's proof in the pudding, 24 frags. When you're 15-3, I mean, what else can you say for Crazy Face at this point? It's it kind of feels a little bit bad for Crazy Face in this situation, but it's kind of a testament as to, you know, where he's at the moment and the fact that he can still compete even when his team might not be able to. So, you know, that's not all negatives. We can take some good parts away from this, but the only thing that we can't take away is the fact that they're going to be able to compete against many of the other teams.
Yeah, look, if you can't do it against Chiefs and you end up against, you know, the likes of Boot, MVP, whatever, you're also not really going to be able to do a whole lot there. Looking at the rest of their group, Flash is in there, Beyond is in there, so that's pretty tough. And we actually haven't really talked too much about Beyond.
No.
We do see Sad Story challenging a little bit in this round, but the bomb is down. Chiefs have got the extra kills, and this looks like it's going to be shut out pretty cleanly indeed. It's 2v1. Flix is going to be dropped, but Infrequent is posted up at a nice angle. Bomb is ticking away in his favor, and it's going to have to obviously be a bit of a clutch out from however you pronounce that guy's name. The Sad Story. I'm not even going to try. It's Dark. I think it's Dark. But in the end, Infrequent is